The hall glowed with soft golden light, the kind that made every sparkle of crystal and silver look like frozen sunlight. Laughter drifted from one corner to another, wrapping itself around the sound of glasses clinking and the faint melody of a jazz band that played something smooth, something too happy for the weight that sat inside my chest. I was sitting quietly at the round table near the middle of the ballroom. My hands rested on the white linen tablecloth, and beside me, my 7-year-old grandson, Leo, was tracing circles with his red toy car. The sound of the tiny wheels rolling back and forth was the only thing that grounded me in that moment. Today was supposed to be a happy day. My son Alex was getting married again. His new wife, Ava, stood under the chandelier that hung like a frozen waterfall, every crystal trembling in the light. Her laughter was perfect, elegant, rehearsed, and a little too loud. Leo didn't look up from his toy. His small face was pale, the bow tie at his neck slightly crooked. I leaned over, fixed it gently, and smiled. "You look handsome, my love." He didn't respond, just nodded without looking at me. I could tell something was off. His little hands moved slower, his breathing heavier than usual. The memory of Maria, Alex's first wife and Leo's mother, flickered in my mind like a candle in the wind. Her laughter, her warmth, her tenderness, it all still lived inside the walls of my heart. Even now, years after her death, her absence filled every corner of our family's life. I sighed and looked up at Alex. He was moving from table to table, greeting guests with that charming smile of his, the same smile that once belonged to the boy who used to run barefoot in the backyard. He looked happy, or maybe he just wanted to look happy. Across the room, Ava's white beaded gown shimmered like frost. She was stunning, undeniably so, tall, graceful, and confident. But there was something about her that never sat right with me. Something cold beneath the beauty. Something that made my heart whisper, "Be careful." The music swelled as the waiter poured another glass of wine in front of me. I politely refused. My eyes, however, were still on Leo, always on Leo. "Grandma," he whispered suddenly. His voice was so small that I barely heard him. "Yes, sweetheart." He grabbed my hand tightly. His fingers were cold, almost trembling. "I want to leave," he said. "Right now." I frowned. "What's wrong, my boy?" He looked up at me, his eyes wide and wet with something that wasn't just fear. It was dread. His lips quivered as he spoke again, barely above a whisper. "Grandma, I didn't look under the table, did you?" My heart stopped. For a moment, all I could hear was the band's soft music and the murmur of people laughing. Slowly, hesitantly, I lowered my gaze toward the floor. The long white tablecloth draped over the edge, hiding everything underneath in shadow. I took a deep breath, reached down, and lifted the edge just enough to look. The light flickered across the polished floor. I saw Leo's shoes, the chair legs, and then something else, a small folded piece of paper, barely visible in the darkness. I froze. Leo's grip on my hand tightened. "Grandma," he whispered again, his voice cracking, "please don't read it," but I had to. With trembling fingers, I reached down, picked up the note, and slowly unfolded it. The candlelight on the table was dim, but bright enough for me to read the words scrawled in shaky handwriting. For a second, I couldn't breathe. Shrimp. Leo was deathly allergic to shrimp. Everyone in our family knew that. A single bite could stop his breathing. We'd nearly lost him once. The memory of that night still haunted me. And now, someone here at this wedding wanted to try again. My chest tightened as the realization hit me. I looked around. Waiters were serving food at other tables. Laughter filled the air, and Ava was raising her glass in a perfect toast. I stood up so fast that my chair fell back with a crash. Heads turned. The laughter stopped. "Mom," Alex's voice cut through the silence. "What's wrong?" I couldn't speak. My hands were shaking as I clutched Leo to my chest. "We're leaving," I said in a voice that didn't sound like my own. "Now." Ava's eyebrows arched slightly, but her smile didn't falter. "Is everything okay?" she asked sweetly. I didn't answer. I carried Leo out of the ballroom, my heels echoing on the marble floor. My breath was shallow, my heart hammering. I didn't stop until we reached the quiet corridor outside. Leo pressed his face into my shoulder. His small body trembled. "Grandma," he whispered, "I saw her." I froze. "Saw who, darling?" His voice was weak, but certain. "The lady in the white dress. She told the man in black to put something in my plate." A chill ran through me. "Leo, are you sure?" He nodded, tears streaming down his cheeks. The image hit me like a blow. Ava's perfect smile, her soft voice, her fake sweetness. And behind it all, something dark. I took Leo's hand again. "We're going home," I said. That night, after I tucked Leo into bed, I sat alone in the dark living room. The note lay on the table before me, its edges wrinkled from my shaking fingers. Outside, the rain began to fall, tapping softly against the windows. The sound reminded me of another rainy night, years ago. The night Maria died. It was a phone call I'd never forget. I was washing dishes when the phone rang, and I remember how the soap slipped from my hands when I heard the officer's voice. "Mrs. Williams, there's been an accident." Maria was gone. Just like that. They said a truck had lost control and hit her car on the highway. I never believed it was just an accident. Not really. She had no enemies, no debts, no secrets. She was pure light. But sometimes light blinds those who live in the dark. After her funeral, Alex was never the same. He buried himself in work, leaving Leo with me most of the time. Leo barely spoke. Every night, he'd wake up crying for his mother, and I'd hold him until he fell asleep again. Those were long, heavy years, quiet and slow. And then came Ava. The day Alex introduced her, I felt something shift in the air. Ava was beautiful, poised, everything a man might want to see after losing love. But behind her smile, there was something too calculated, the kind of sweetness that hides poison. Still, I told myself I was being paranoid. My son was happy again. I wanted to believe that was enough. Until today. Until the note. I stared at it for hours. Table 8. Add shrimp to the child serving. Simple. Cold. Full. There were 8 tables at the wedding. Only one had a child. Ours. Someone wanted Leo dead. But why? And why now, on the very day Alex remarried? My heart raced as I thought about Maria again. Her car accident. The way her brakes had failed. And oh, it couldn't be. Or could it? The rain outside turned heavier, blurring the world beyond the glass. I closed my eyes and whispered a silent prayer. But deep inside, a single thought echoed like a whisper from the grave. This isn't over. That night, I dreamed of Maria. She was standing by the window, her dress fluttering softly in the wind. Her face was calm, but her eyes were filled with sorrow. "Mom," she said softly, "protect him." And then she was gone. Woke up gasping, my hands cold, the sound of rain still echoing outside. I looked over at Leo, asleep on the couch beside me, his little hand clutching his toy car. My heart swelled and broke at the same time. "I will," I whispered. "I promise." But promises are heavy things. Because sometimes, to protect the ones we love, we must walk into darkness ourselves. And that's exactly what I was about to do. The morning after the wedding, the house was heavy with silence. The kind of silence that doesn't come from peace, it comes from something waiting, something hiding. I sat by the window with a cup of untouched tea, watching the mist drift over the garden. The air was still damp from last night's storm. The flowers bent under the weight of rainwater, and somewhere far away, thunder grumbled like an old warning that refused to fade. Leo was still asleep upstairs. His small face looked peaceful in dreams, unaware of the shadows moving around him. The note from last night lay on the coffee table. I'd read it 100 times, every word burning into my mind. Table 8. Add shrimp to the child serving. It wasn't a mistake. Someone had written it deliberately. And that someone was inside our family. I picked up my phone and called the wedding planner. "I need the names of all the catering staff who worked last night," I said. "Of course, Mrs. Williams," she replied politely. "Is there a problem?" "Yes," I said quietly. A very serious one. By noon, I had a list of names, 21 in total.
Waiters, chef, assistant, décorateur.
I circled the one that mattered most. The head chef, Daniel Rivers. He was the one who prepared the meals, the one who took the instructions. I drove to the hotel myself. The staff were cleaning up the remnants of last night's wedding, deflated balloons, wilted flowers, spilled wine, broken laughter. Daniel was outside, smoking near the dumpster. He looked tired, mid-40s, eyes sunken, face rough with guilt or maybe exhaustion. "Mr. Rivers?" I asked. He nodded, surprised. "Yes, ma'am. You're Mrs. Williams, right? The groom's mother?" "Yes," I said. "I need to ask you about this." I handed him the folded note. He looked at it, and his face went pale. "Where did you get this?" "It was under my table," I said. "Table 8. He swallowed hard. I didn't mean any harm, ma'am. It was just a note I got from the coordinator. Said it came from the bride's assistant. She told me to make sure the child's plate had shrimp instead of chicken. I assumed it was a preference." "The bride's assistant?" I asked slowly. "What was her name?" He hesitated, trying to remember. I think she said her name was
Claire.
Blonde hair, tall, wearing a blue scarf. There was no Claire at the wedding. I knew every staff member Ava hired. "Did you see her again after that?" I asked. He shook his head.
No.
She disappeared before the ceremony started. Disappeared. I looked down at the note again, my fingers trembling. Ava had always been careful. She wouldn't leave fingerprints, not directly. She had someone do it for her. Someone who didn't exist. That night, I went into the attic. It smelled of old paper and memories, photographs, boxes, pieces of our lives we'd put away to forget. I opened the box labeled Maria, 2015. Inside were photographs of her and Alex, smiling, carefree, young. A picture of their honeymoon in Florence. Maria in her white dress, holding Leo as a baby. Then beneath the photos, I found a folder. Police reports.
Accident summary.
I remembered those nights clearly. Me sitting in a hospital waiting room, Alex numb and broken, officers asking questions that felt more like accusations. I flipped through the papers again, my eyes catching on a small handwritten note from the investigator. Brake fluid tampered. Inconclusive evidence. Tampered. I froze. My breath hitched. I'd missed it all those years ago. Too lost in grief. Too trusting of what they told me. Maria's death wasn't an accident. Someone had done it. Someone who wanted her gone.
But why?
The next morning, I visited the old police officer who handled Maria's case. His name was Detective Rowan. He had retired years ago, but he still lived in the same quiet neighborhood on Maple Street. He opened the door slowly, his eyes tired but sharp as ever. "Mrs. Williams," he said softly. "It's been a long time." "Yes," I said. "Too long." He invited me in, and we sat by the fire. The room smelled of old books and pipe smoke. "I came about Maria," I said. His expression hardened. "Still thinking about that?" "I never stopped," I whispered. "Tell me the truth, detective. Was it an accident?" He sighed, leaned back, and stared into the flames. "Between you and me, no. It wasn't. But we had nothing solid to prove it." My heart pounded. "What did you find?" There were signs the brake lines had been cut, not all the way through, just enough to fail under pressure. But there were no fingerprints, no witnesses, nothing concrete. Your son's car was also checked, but it was clean. I felt the world tilt beneath me. "You mean someone killed her deliberately?" He nodded slowly.
Yes.
"But without proof, the case went cold. Do you have the files?" He hesitated, then walked to a cabinet and pulled out a dusty folder. "Keep it quiet," he said. "If you stir old ghosts, they'll start haunting again." I took the file in trembling hands. Maybe they already are. That evening, I sat by the fire in my own house, reading the old reports again. Every line burned deeper than the last. Maria had received strange calls in the week before her death, numbers traced to unlisted phones. She had told a friend she felt watched. And then there was a name, one that appeared in the margins of a financial record. A name I'd never seen before. Ava Harper. My heart skipped.
No, that couldn't be.
Ava wasn't even part of our lives then. She met Alex a year after Maria's death. Or so I thought. But the report said otherwise. A charity event, 1 month before the accident. Ava Harper attended as a corporate sponsor. Maria was there too. I closed the file slowly. The pieces started to fit.
Ava didn't meet Alex by chance.
She had planned it. From the very beginning. 3 days later, I decided to confront her. She was in the garden when I arrived, dressed in white again, pruning roses. Her hands were delicate, her movements calm. But her eyes, they were cold glass. "Mrs. Williams," she said sweetly, turning toward me. "To what do I owe this surprise?" I smiled tightly. "Just wanted to talk." "Of course." She gestured to the garden bench. "There." "No," I sat down. "I found something from the past." Her hand froze midair, scissors glinting in the sun. "The past."
"Yes."
"Maria." A flicker passed through her eyes, gone almost instantly. "That's a sad topic. Why bring her up now?" "Because someone killed her." Silence. The wind stirred the roses. I leaned forward. "And I think you know who." Ava smiled, slow and careful. "Be careful with your accusations, Mother. Grief can make people imagine things." "Maybe," I said. "But grief also makes people remember." I stood, turning toward the gate. "You can hide behind your smiles and perfect words, Ava. But the truth always leaves fingerprints, even when the hands are clean." As I walked away, I could feel her eyes burning into my back, calm on the surface. But I knew that somewhere inside that beautiful shell, something dangerous was watching me. That night, I found a letter slipped under my door. No name. Just words typed in black ink. "Stop digging, or you'll lose him too." My blood turned to ice. I ran upstairs. Leo was fast asleep.
Safe. For now.
But I knew one thing for certain. Ava wasn't done yet.
And neither was I.
For 3 nights, I barely slept. Every sound made me flinch. Every creak of the old wooden floor, every whisper of wind against the window. I had started leaving a small lamp on near Leo's room, afraid of what might come crawling out of the dark. The warning note, "Stop digging or you'll lose him too," sat on my nightstand like a heartbeat I couldn't silence.
I didn't tell Alex. He wouldn't believe me.
He was too blinded by love or whatever Ava had wrapped him in. That morning, I packed Leo's lunch and kissed his forehead before school. "Stay close to Mrs. Carter today, okay?" I said. She was his teacher, kind and protective. Leo smiled faintly. "Yes, Grandma." I watched his small figure disappear through the school gates, and something in my chest tightened, a mother's instinct that never really dies, even when you're a grandmother. Then I drove straight to Detective Rowan's house. He opened the door before I even knocked twice. "I figured you'd be back," he said. "I need help," I said quietly. "I think Maria's death and the note from the wedding are connected. I need to prove it." He nodded, motioning me inside. "You've got guts, Mrs. Williams, but you're playing with fire." "Then I'll burn with it," I whispered, "as long as it shows me the truth." He placed a small recorder on the table. "Ava Harper," he said. "I remember that name. Corporate fraud suspicions back in 2014. Never proven. She disappeared for 2 years after that, changed addresses, changed numbers. Reappeared as a charity donor under a new identity." My pulse quickened. "You're saying she's not who she says she is?"
"Exactly," he said.
"And if she's married to your son now, that means she found something she wanted. Something big."
"Alex.
His company. His money. His life." Rowan handed me a small USB drive. "These are background checks. Old surveillance notes. Maybe you'll find something I missed." I drove home, clutching that tiny drive like it was a key to a locked grave. That night, after putting Leo to bed, I plugged the USB into my laptop. The screen filled with folders, photos, audio recordings, documents. One file was named Harper_2015_record, wave. I clicked it. A faint voice crackled through the speakers. Male. Deep. Rough. We're done, Ava. No more games. Then her voice, calm, cold, and familiar. You don't walk away from me, Jason. You don't ever walk away. Silence. Then a sudden scream. The sound of glass shattering. The recording ended. I sat frozen, the room spinning around me. Ava wasn't just manipulative. She was dangerous. And whoever Jason was, he was gone now. I opened another file. Photographs. Ava with a man I didn't recognize. A date stamp. February 2015, 2 months before Maria's death. They stood by a black car. The same model Maria drove. My throat went dry. It wasn't coincidence. Ava had been near that car before Maria's brakes failed. I zoomed in on the photo and there it was. The car's license plate. The same one from the accident report. My stomach turned. I whispered, "Oh my God, Maria." The next day, I decided to test Ava. I invited her and Alex over for dinner. She accepted, smiling sweetly over the phone. When they arrived, Leo ran to hug his father. Ava bent down and kissed Leo's cheek, that perfect fake warmth. "Smells wonderful," she said. "I hope you like it," I replied calmly. "It's shrimp pasta." Her fork froze midair. Alex laughed. "Mom, you know Leo can't have shrimp." "Oh, of course," I said innocently. "That's why his plate is separate. I just thought Ava liked shrimp. She seems to have such a taste for it." Ava smiled thinly, her eyes meeting mine.
Ida.
"As long as it's not poisoned with accusations." The room went quiet. Even Alex looked up, frowning. I smiled sweetly. "Accusations?" "Oh no, darling. Just conversation." Leo looked between us, confused, sensing the tension adults try so hard to hide. After dinner, when Alex went to tuck Leo into bed, Ava followed me into the kitchen. Her voice was low and cold. "If you ever try to humiliate me again, I'll make sure you never see that boy again." I turned to face her. "If you ever touch him, I'll make sure no one ever sees you again." We stood there, two women staring into each other's darkness. For a brief moment, she smiled. "You're strong," she said. "Stronger than Maria. That's why she died so easily." The world tilted. "What did you just say?" Her smile widened.
Oops.
Did I say that out loud? Before I could respond, Alex walked back in. "Everything okay?" Ava turned, sweetness returning instantly. "Of course, darling. Your mother and I were just talking about the roses." I forced a smile.
Yes.
The roses. But inside I was shaking. Because she had just confirmed what I already knew. Maria's death wasn't an accident. And now she was threatening Leo. The next morning, I drove straight to Rowan's house again, but the door was open, and the house was empty. The air inside was cold. The fireplace ashes were fresh. On the table lay a single envelope addressed to me. Inside, a photo of me sitting in my car outside Ava's house from the night before. And a message written on the back. "You're being watched too." My blood froze. I backed out of the house, heart racing, looking around at every shadow, every car, every sound. Someone was following me. I didn't know if Rowan was gone, kidnapped, or worse. But one thing was clear. Ava had power, and she wasn't afraid to use it. Days passed like nightmares. Every morning, I'd walk Leo to school and look over my shoulder. Every night, I'd check every door twice, every lock thrice. Ava kept visiting, smiling, pretending, taunting silently with her eyes. One evening, I heard Leo talking in his sleep. I leaned closer. He was whispering, "Don't go in the car, Mommy, don't go." Tears filled my eyes. Even in dreams, Maria's voice was reaching him. That's when I made up my mind. If Ava could destroy us quietly, I'd destroy her loudly. I started recording. Every conversation, every threat, every fake smile. A week later, I found something in the mail, an unsigned USB drive. No return address. I hesitated before plugging it in. The screen lit up with a single video file named Truth. It was a grainy recording, a parking lot, night vision camera. Ava standing beside a car. Maria's car. And beside her, a man holding a small silver blade. They leaned over the car hood, talking quietly. Then Ava nodded, and the man cut into the car's underside, the brake line. My breath caught. Then the car drove away. Ava smiled, cold, perfect, deadly. The video ended. My whole body shook as I clutched the laptop. Tears blurred my vision. I finally had proof. Maria's ghost could rest now. But I couldn't. Not yet. I waited until midnight. Then I called her. Ava, I said softly when she answered. Can't sleep, she replied. Her tone was playful. No, I said. I've been watching old videos. Of Maria. Of her car. Of you. Silence. You should have stopped, she whispered. I told you. I'm just getting started. Then I hung up. The war had begun. The night after the phone call, I sat in my dark kitchen, staring at the flickering flame of a single candle. The video of Ava and the man cutting Maria's brake line kept looping in my head, over and over, like a curse I couldn't escape. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Maria's laughter, the sound of Leo's little feet running across the porch, the whisper of the accident report, brake failure. Now I knew. There was no failure. There was only murder. Morning light broke through the blinds, painting the walls with thin, trembling lines. I made tea, but my hands shook so badly that I spilled half of it on the counter. I needed to be careful now. I needed to stay alive for Leo. I opened my phone and replayed the call I had secretly recorded the night before. Ava's voice, low and venomous. You should have stopped. That was enough to start something. But not enough to end it. I needed witnesses, evidence, allies, and I needed Lucy. I drove to Lucy's apartment, heart pounding. She opened the door in a loose sweatshirt, her eyes tired. Mom, what's wrong? I stepped inside and handed her the USB drive. You need to see this. She frowned but plugged it in. As the footage played, her face went pale. Is that Ava? Yes, I said quietly. And the car, the one Maria died in. Lucy covered her mouth. Oh my God, we have to go to the police. I tried once, I said. And they didn't listen. But now they will. She looked at me, trembling. You think she'll come after Leo? I don't think, I whispered. I know. That evening, I picked Leo up from school myself. He looked tired, quiet. Grandma, he said, Ava came to school today. My heart skipped.
What?
What did she want? He hesitated. She said Daddy forgot to give her something. But she didn't talk to the teacher. She just waited by the fence. I felt a cold wave crawl down my spine. Ava was watching him, waiting. When we reached home, I closed every curtain, locked every door. That night, I didn't sleep. Every sound outside felt like footsteps. Every passing car, light looked like eyes. The next morning, I went straight to Detective Rowan's office downtown. But when I entered, a new face sat at the desk. Detective Rowan's been transferred, said the officer, not even looking up. Transferred? I asked. To where? He shrugged. No idea. Left in a hurry. Didn't even take his files. My stomach turned. Can I at least see his last reports? He frowned. Classified, ma'am. As I turned to leave, I noticed a small envelope sitting on the corner of a filing cabinet, my name scrawled across it. I grabbed it and ran. Inside was a note in Rowan's handwriting. If anything happens to me, trust no one, especially Alex. I froze in the middle of the street. Cars passed by, honking, but I barely heard them. Alex? My own son?
No.
It couldn't be. But deep inside, something whispered. What if he knew? That evening, I visited Alex at his office. The city's skyline shimmered behind the glass windows. He smiled when he saw me. Mom. Everything okay? I hesitated, scanning his face, the same blue eyes as Maria's photo of him years ago. I just want to talk, I said, sitting down. About Ava. His smile faded. What about her? Do you really know who she is? He sighed. Mom, please. Not again. I love her. Leo likes her. No, he doesn't. I snapped. He's afraid of her. Just like I am. He rubbed his forehead. You're being paranoid. I stood up, trembling. Paranoid? Then explain this. I slid my phone across the desk, the recording of Ava's voice and the photo from the video. He stared at it silently. Then he said, Where did you get this? In your wife's past, I said coldly. The one you never bothered to check. He looked at me, his jaw tightening. You need to stop digging, Mom. And in that moment, the way he said it, the tone, the exact words, I realized. He had said it before. Those were the same words written on the warning note. Stop digging, or you'll lose him too. I stepped back, heart hammering. You knew? Alex didn't answer. He turned away, looking out at the city lights. After Maria died, he said quietly, I was lost. Ava found me. She helped me rebuild everything. Helped you? I whispered. She killed your wife. He slammed his hand on the desk. You don't know what you're talking about. Then tell me, Alex. I shouted, tears in my eyes. What are you hiding from me? He stayed silent. Then, almost in a whisper, he said, It wasn't supposed to happen that way. The room spun. What do you mean? He looked at me, pain and guilt written all over his face. Maria found out about some financial work we were doing. She wanted to go to the police. Ava said she'd handle it. I didn't think she meant. He stopped. I felt my knees give out. You helped her? I said, my voice breaking. You helped her kill your wife? He didn't answer. I slapped him. You let her take Maria's life, and now she wants Leo's. He turned away. It's too late, Mom. You can't stop her. I left the office shaking. The sky had turned dark, storm clouds rolling in like a warning. When I reached home, Leo wasn't there. His school bag sat by the couch. The TV was on. The front door slightly open. My heart dropped. I ran through the house, screaming his name. Leo. Then I saw it, a note taped to the window. Meet me where it all ended.
No signature.
But I knew.
Maria es accident site.
Rain poured as I drove down the old highway, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. The place was deserted. A broken guardrail, overgrown weeds, a memorial cross half buried in the mud. Headlights glowed in the distance. Ava's car. I stopped the engine, stepped out, and felt the cold rain soak my clothes instantly. Ava stood there, holding Leo by the arm. He looked terrified. Let him go. I screamed. She smiled, that same smile from the day she first entered our lives. You always loved playing hero, didn't you, Betty? Please, he's just a child. She tilted her head. So was I when people took everything from me. Maria wasn't supposed to die that night, but she did. And now, it's your turn to lose someone you love. She pushed Leo slightly toward the edge, where the guardrail was broken. I lunged forward. Don't you dare. Ava laughed, her eyes glinting in the lightning. You don't get to command me anymore. She took a step closer to the edge and slipped. The mud gave way beneath her heels. Leo screamed. I grabbed his arm just in time, and Ava's hand caught the metal rail. For a moment, the world froze, rain, thunder, fear. She looked up at me, eyes wide. Please, she gasped. Help me. I stared down at her, at the woman who destroyed everything, and for a heartbeat, I saw Maria's face, gentle, forgiving. I reached out my hand. Ava smiled faintly, then, with a sudden jerk, she pulled me down with her. I screamed, but she lost her grip. And then she was gone.
Falling.
Her scream echoed through the rain until it vanished into the ravine below. I pulled myself up, holding Leo tightly as we both cried. It's over, I whispered, though I wasn't sure I believed it. In the distance, police sirens wailed. Lucy must have called them. When they arrived, all they found of Ava was her car and a single high heel caught in the mud. Weeks passed. Leo started sleeping peacefully again. Alex turned himself in. His confession, along with the video evidence, confirmed everything. Maria finally had justice. One evening, as the sun set, I took Leo to the place where the wildflowers grew near Maria's grave. He placed a small toy car beside her stone. "I love you, Mommy," he whispered. I smiled through tears. "She hears you, my love." He looked up at me. "Grandma, it's over now, right?" I nodded slowly. "Yes, my boy. It's over." But deep down, I knew the truth. Some ghosts never really leave. And every time I close my eyes, I still hear Ava's voice. "You should have stopped." Weeks had passed since the stormy night that changed everything. The rain had stopped, the skies cleared, but my heart still carried the weight of that night. Leo was back to his usual cheerful self, but I noticed a quiet intensity in his eyes, the same intensity Maria had in hers. He was learning what it meant to survive, to endure, to forgive, but not forget. I was cleaning the house one evening when the postman delivered a single, heavy envelope. No return address.
No stamp.
Only my name written in a familiar, elegant handwriting. I froze. It was Ava's handwriting. I carefully opened the envelope. Inside was a thick, folded letter. "Betty, if you are reading this, it means I am gone. But know this, you have not seen the full picture. There are things you don't understand, people you should fear, and truths that even Alex cannot face. Read carefully. Think carefully. Every choice you make now will determine who lives and who dies next." My hands trembled as I unfolded the pages. Ava had written her story, her motivations, her schemes, and the depths of her obsession. She wrote about her childhood, a home where love was scarce and betrayal was abundant, a world where trust was a luxury and revenge was a game. She described how she met Alex, how she had been hired by a mysterious figure, a shadowy partner in Maria's business, to sabotage his life. At first, she had resisted, but the lure of power, money, and revenge twisted her morality. Maria never suspected me at first. She trusted me.
And
I betrayed her. I never wanted to hurt Leo. But mistakes have a price. Tears blurred my vision as I read her confessions. She admitted to manipulating Alex, using his grief to control him, to turn him into the perfect pawn. She had planted the idea of Maria's accident, then encouraged Alex to comply, creating a perfect storm of tragedy. But there was more. She wrote about someone I had never suspected, Lucy. Do not trust Lucy. She knows more than she lets on. She has her own secrets, and if she finds this letter, she may not act in your favor. I felt my blood run cold. Lucy? My sweet Lucy, who loved Leo like her own brother. Was there a chance she had been playing her own game? I immediately called Lucy. "Mom, is everything okay?" she asked, her voice still soft and warm. I need you to come over." "Now," I said, barely able to hold back my panic. She arrived in 10 minutes, but the moment she stepped inside, I noticed the tension in her eyes. She was trembling slightly, her hands clutching her purse. I handed her the letter. Her face went pale as she read it. Then she looked up at me, wide-eyed. This can't be real," she whispered. I shook my head. "It's real, Lucy. It's all real. Ava planned everything, even after she was gone. And she's warning us about someone." She looked down at her hands.
Mom.
I never wanted to hurt anyone. "I know, my child," I said, embracing her. "But we have to be careful. Whoever Ava worked with, they're still out there, watching." That night, I sat by Leo's bed, reading him a bedtime story, Maria's favorite. He clutched my hand tightly, and for a moment, I saw a spark of innocence that I feared Ava had almost destroyed. "Grandma," he whispered, "do you think she'll come back?" I swallowed hard. "No, my love.
She's gone.
But remember, sometimes people leave behind shadows. Shadows can't hurt you if you stay in the light." He nodded, finally closing his eyes. The next morning, I decided to investigate Ava's letter further. Every name, every clue, Every phrase could be a key. I took the letter to a private investigator, someone I could trust. Detective Marlowe, a seasoned investigator with steel-gray eyes, read the letter carefully. "This is sophisticated," he said. "Ava didn't just act alone. She had help. And judging by the way she wrote this, she expected you to find it." "Find it?"
I asked. "Yes,
"It's a map in words.
a trail."
But beware, it's dangerous." He handed me a folder with photographs of Alex's business partners, emails Ava had sent, transactions she had made.
"Start here," he said.
"Trace everything. Leave no stone unturned. And keep Leo away from all of this." Days turned into weeks. Every clue led to more questions. The trail Ava left was like a spider's web, intricate, sharp, and deadly. I discovered that Ava had siphoned money from Maria's account long before the accident. She had connections to people who dealt in black market technology, illegal schemes, and threats. And then the most shocking revelation. Alex wasn't entirely innocent. He had known more than he admitted. He had turned a blind eye in the beginning, the first moments of Ava's manipulation. My heart shattered. My own son, who had suffered so much, had made choices that allowed the monster to grow. One night, I confronted Alex. "Why didn't you stop her? Why didn't you protect Maria?" He looked at me, eyes wet. "Mom, I thought I could control it. I thought I could fix it. I never imagined it would go this far. I loved her too, but I was blind." I felt rage, betrayal, and sorrow all at once. "You let her take Maria's life. You let her hurt Leo. And now, she's still planning from beyond the grave." He lowered his head. "I don't know, but we can't ignore it. We have to follow her trail before someone else gets hurt." We started working together. Alex, Lucy, and I, following every hint Ava had left in that letter. From hidden bank accounts to encrypted emails, every discovery led us deeper into the dark world Ava had inhabited. We uncovered secrets about her past. She had been part of a clandestine group, manipulating families, businesses, even law enforcement. And the more we found, the more dangerous it became. One evening, as we decrypted a final email, Leo came running into the study, holding a small, folded note. "Grandma, it came in the mail," he said, eyes wide. I opened it. It was Ava's handwriting. "Betty, you may have won the first battle, but the war is not over. There are others who owe me allegiance. Remember? I am always watching." My blood ran cold. I looked at Alex and Lucy. "Even dead, she's not gone," I whispered. Weeks later, Leo and I stood by Maria's grave again. I held him close. "Remember, my love, people like Ava, they live in shadows. But shadows have no power in the light. We have each other. And together, we are stronger." He nodded, gripping my hand tightly. And as I looked at him, I realized something profound. Revenge might have been sweet, justice might have been served, but love was the true shield. No matter what shadows Ava left behind, we would endure. Because in the end, the storm had passed, both outside and within our hearts, but the echoes of Ava's shadow lingered like a whisper in the wind. The days that followed were quiet but heavy, as if the universe itself had taken a deep breath after a long struggle. Leo returned to his routines, school, playtime, and the little joys that Maria had once nurtured. Yet, in his eyes, I could see the depth of what he had witnessed, the weight of fear and courage mingling together. He had grown, not just in age, but in spirit, resilient, perceptive, and deeply empathetic. Alex had changed too. The grief that had once consumed him slowly transformed into a quiet strength. He spent hours reflecting on his mistakes, acknowledging the choices he had made and the blind trust he had given to Ava. "Mom," he said one evening, sitting at the kitchen table with a notebook in front of him, "I've realized something. I can't undo the past, but I can choose how I live from now on. And I want to make it right, for Leo, for Maria, for all of us." Tears blurred my vision, but I nodded. "That's all any of us can do, Alex. And it's enough. More than enough." Lucy, ever the guardian of our little family, became a bridge between the past and the future. Her love for Leo remained unwavering, yet she now embraced the role of protector and guide. Together, we crafted new routines, rituals, and memories that honored Maria's presence without being trapped by grief. One crisp morning, we visited the old park, the same one Maria used to take Leo to, where the sunlight danced through the trees and the laughter of children filled the air. Leo ran ahead, chasing a bright red kite, while Lucy and I followed slowly, hands entwined. "Grandma," he called out, his voice light and free. "Look, I'm flying like Mommy used to fly." I watched him, and for the first time in a long while, I felt a profound sense of peace. Maria's love was not gone. It lived in Leo, in us, and in every little joy we shared. At home, I began a ritual of memory and healing. Each night, we would gather in the living room, light a candle, and tell stories of Maria, not as ghosts of the past, but as guiding lights for the future. Leo would share his memories, sometimes with tears, sometimes with laughter, and we would honor each one. Weeks turned into months. The letter from Ava became a symbol, a reminder of the darkness that once threatened to consume us, but also of our resilience. We framed it, not as a trophy of fear, but as a testament to the strength of our family bond. Alex became more involved in Leo's daily life, no longer retreating into work. Lucy balanced her role as an older sister and protector, ensuring that Leo felt safe, cherished, and empowered. And I, Betty, became the anchor, guiding, supporting, and loving fiercely, knowing that Maria's spirit was within us, in every choice, every laugh, and every shared moment. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of gold and rose, we sat together on the porch. Leo leaned against my shoulder, Lucy held his hand, and Alex quietly sipped his tea, all of us enveloped in the calm of our shared presence. "Grandma," Leo whispered, "do you think Mommy can see us?" "I know she can, my love," I replied softly, stroking his hair. "She's here in every heartbeat, every smile, and every moment we live with love." The days ahead were filled with new beginnings. We planted a garden in Maria's memory, roses, lilies, and daisies, each bloom a tribute to the love and light she had given us. We laughed more, cried when we needed to, and slowly let the shadows of the past fade into the background. And yet, the lesson remained clear. Life was fragile, love was precious, and revenge, while tempting, could never heal what was truly broken. True healing came from acceptance, courage, and the unbreakable bond of family. Leo thrived in school, made new friends, and carried Maria's kindness in his heart. Alex learned to forgive himself, understanding that mistakes were part of life, but redemption was possible through action and love. Lucy found her strength, realizing that her love could guide and protect without becoming a burden. I often reflected on that fateful night at Alex's wedding, when a simple folded piece of paper had revealed so much danger, so much betrayal. It had been the catalyst for our awakening, the turning point that forced us to confront truths we might have preferred to ignore. But in facing it, we discovered something far more powerful: our resilience, our unity, and our capacity for love that no darkness could diminish. Years passed, and the family healed in ways we never thought possible. The laughter returned to our home, richer and deeper, carrying echoes of Maria's love and memory. Leo grew into a young boy of strength and compassion, Alex a father and man wiser for his mistakes, and Lucy a sister, guardian, and friend whose love remained steadfast. And I, Betty, watched over them all, knowing that life, though fragile and unpredictable, was beautiful because we faced it together. The final words I whispered to Leo that night, under the soft glow of the moon: "Remember, my little one, shadows can never touch the light within you. No matter how dark the world may seem, love will always guide you home." Leo smiled, eyes heavy with sleep but shining with trust, and I held him close. And that moment I knew the war was over, but the healing had just begun. And in our hearts, Maria would always remain, guiding, loving, and watching forever.